This activity uses different versions of Beowulf to discuss the importance of translation. Unless students have studied literature in another language, they often don't think about the impact the translator has on how passage or larger work can be interpreted. Ask students what they believe is the role of a translator. Make connections to someone who is translating legal documents or translating conversation between a doctor and a patient. Ask them how translating literature is similar and different than these high-stakes scenarios. Remind students that the poem Beowulf was written in Old English, so we read the work in translation. Distribute copies of the same set of passages taken from different translations. In small groups, ask students to discuss what they like and dislike about each translation. Have them explain why. They can think about differences in imagery, style, mood, and emphasize themes. You may want to ask them if they would be able to determine which translator wrote a passage if they weren't told. In other words, how distinct are the translator's style. Also have them discuss the differences between reading prose versions versus poetry and why a translator might choose prose for translating Beowulf. For example, both of these two passages use kenning throughout: swamp thing, tarn hag, war sword, she-wolf, sea bottom, water wife, battle axe, ring-decked blade, war song. The translators also attempted to include alliteration. Listen to the H sound in hero, torn hag, heaved, and head in the first passage. Similarly, you hear the W, worthy she-wolf of the sea bottom, water wife, and war song in the second passage. Students will notice that very few of the little words are the same. Ask them if the tone is consistent across the passages. What difference does it make that the second passage is prose, not poetry like the original text? Students may notice that a couple of the translators even try to maintain the caesura and beat pattern from the original Old English. Does that make the translation better? Depending on time, you may want to have each group of students work on a different passage and then compare their results with the other groups using a jigsaw. For my highly able students, include the original Old English passages so they can compare structure and alliteration. If students speak or are studying another language, they can make connections to translated materials. Examining different translations encourages students to examine the role translation plays in interpreting a text. It also provides an opportunity to compare different authors' styles and imagery.